Week 10 of college football. Let's recap them and let's start in Happy Valley. Ohio State wins their eighth straight over Penn State. The Buckeyes get it done 20-13. And Ted, before we recap this one, and there's a lot to recap, would it have changed your opinion on this game if you would have known that Will Howard was from Pennsylvania and did not receive an offer from Penn State?
I don't think it would have changed my mind, but it would. It is interesting information that I would have liked to have had.
I was unaware of it until after the game because as he was picking up those first downs on that final drive, I was going, man, Will Howard is awfully fired up.
Yeah.
And now I know why. But there may be no better feeling in football than the way Ohio State finished this game. Goal line stand on defense, then an 11 play drive, all runs to end it, taking a knee. That's like football crack, dude.
Yeah.
Just an incredible way to finish a game of this magnitude by Ohio State.
Well, I'm sitting here, I'm looking at the play-by-play rundown, and it was 17-13. Ohio State goes on a 12 play, 64-yard drive and kicks a field goal. It took 5 minutes. And then that's to take a 20-13 lead. Then Penn State has the 9 play drive that ends on downs at the goal line. That took 5 minutes. And then they never got the ball again. 11 plays, 5 minutes and 13. The entire fourth quarter was 10 minutes Ohio State to 5 minutes for Penn State. That's how you close out a football game, especially on the road.
There were some huge key plays in this game. The interception where Igbinosun takes it from Trey Wallace, that was clearly a massive play. And that one didn't go Penn State's way. But Will Howard threw a pick six. I think it was his first pass of the game. Threw a pick six. He also fumbled the ball through the end zone for a touchback. And Ohio State still won the
Still
football
won
game.
the game. Yeah.
It made me, as all of this unfolded, I go, hey, is Penn State ever going to beat them again, ever? What else could you ask for if you're Penn State and you still can't get it done?
Crazy. I don't know. I and you there this is like the equivalent of having like a Dak Prescott quarterback in the NFL. It's like you can move on, but there's no guarantee that you move on to someone better right away. It may take you 3 or 4 tries to find someone better. It's a tough spot to be in. But I mean, it's like the most Big Ten football game of all time. It's crazy. Penn State had 3 possessions in the second half. They only had 8 possessions. You typically have average 12 possessions in a football game, and all of a sudden going in, you find out that you're only going to have 8 possessions. Things change dramatically. It's wild.
I really thought the difference in the game was Chip Kelly and Ryan Day scheming up a couple explosives for Ohio State that Andy Kotelnicki just couldn't scheme up for Penn State. I mean, you think about the touchdown to Ibuka in the first quarter. It's just an awesome design. The touchdown to Brandon Ennis in the second quarter, not that dissimilar of a design. And they got a couple easy ones, and it seemed like everything Penn State, like they didn't get anything easy. They had to earn it all against a really good defense. Now, Tyler Warren is just a damn good football player. Anybody, every single team in the country wants that guy. But Other than that, just it seemed like nothing came easy for Penn State's offense.
Yeah. And it's kind of felt like that.
They
I
don't.
really
I
like,
That's why I picked Ohio State to win this game. Just
you know,
Penn State, they don't really have playmakers at wide receiver. They just don't have those guys right now, and I don't know why they don't have them, but they don't have them.
and I Drew Aller seems like I think he's a solid quarterback, but you got to remember Nicky and his offense, like the type of quarterback he had success with, right? I mean, Jalen Daniels and Jason Bean. Jason Bean is a speed demon, fast quarterback run game. Same thing with Jalen Daniels, getting those guys involved. I just don't know that without that extra dynamic, it doesn't seem like his offense is the same. Does that make sense?
You know who would be perfect for his offense? Marcel Reed at A&M.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Yep.
The only other thing I have on this game, refs in a big game, just do less. That unsportsmanlike conduct on Elliott Washington from Penn State, where he makes a tackle on Carnell Tate. He kind of steps over him. It would have been 4th and 4. Would have been 4th and 4. Drives over. Instead, drive continues because they think that is personal foul worthy. And eventually Ohio State goes down the field and scores. If I was a Penn State fan, I'd be furious.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'd be as upset with James Franklin as that guy that was yelling at him in the stands. What's your name, sir? He does some goofy stuff. But I hated that call. Hated that call. Don't don't have that big of an impact in the game, man. It wasn't egregious at all. What a ridiculous flag.
Yeah.
That happened to OU. I always put myself in the situation of how would I react if this happened to OU? And I would lose my mind if that happened to OU.
Yeah. Those plays are frustrating because you instantly you're mad at the player, and I can understand being mad at the player, but still there's like you have to know when if a game is spilling out of control, then the officials, okay, you expect them to tighten up some things, right? To try and get a clamp on things, but in no way was that game spinning out of control.
As he announced it, he was like stepping over a player. In my head, I was like, you mean he was getting up off the ground?
Stepping should have stepped on the player.
Should have just stepped on his chest. Got it. Just so stupid. But nice win for Ohio State. Go on the road, beat a good football team, in good shape there in the Big Ten. They got Indiana on the schedule. So all of a sudden, a couple weeks, that is a massive football game.
We'll get to it.
Oh, I'm smelling a possible winner of the weekend for Ted. Texas A&M went to Columbia, South Carolina, and got rolled in the second half.
Yes, they did.
Final
Woo.
score 44-20. Not shocked that South Carolina won the game, but I am surprised how they did it. 286 yards rushing,
Mm,
6.7 yards per carry, 3 rushing touchdowns. South Carolina pushed that A&M defense around.
I mean, outside of, you know, turning the football over there in what was the second quarter, whenever A&M bounced back on them, like they went right down the field to start the game. They forced a punt in like what four? No, they turned them over on downs to start off, and then they went back down and punched it in again. It's 14-0 before he even knew what hit you. I mean, I it It was closer than it really should have been for longer until that second half, right?
There was an incredible start to that game. I mean, what the Sellers touchdown run, they still you mentioned it, they stuffed Reed on the quarterback sneak. Did not like that call.
Mm.
And it was, if you look at it from A&M's side of things, just a nightmare of a start.
Yeah.
Sellers rips off a couple big plays. They go right down the field, score a touchdown. You get stuffed on QB sneak. It's 14-0 in the blink of an eye. Oh, and then you actually do have a big play, and your star player hurts. Le'Veon Moss is hurt on the second drive of the game. Done for the day. And we'll see what his
Yeah.
status is for the rest of the season. Didn't look great. And still, all that happens, and credit to them. I mean, right before the half, they're up 20-17. South Carolina drives, gets a field goal, and it's 20-20 at half. But just, I mean, A&M could not get anything going in the second half. Just some key fourth down plays, and they got stuffed. Huge play with like 7.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. They go for it on 4th and 1. Ted, I was screaming. 12 personnel, they motion in and run the split zone read play. A&M's in a 4-4 structure. I'm watching it and going, make sure you leave the outside guy who is a safety in the 4-4 structure. You got like a four backer look. The guy that is way out front side is the safety. Don't go to him. Go to the inside backer that you know is going to pull the trigger, that's in the situation all the time. And what do, Ted? They leave that guy unblocked.
Mm.
No one touches him. Debo, 0. Good player for South Carolina. No one touches him. He flies in, chops the running back in half. No gain, turnover on downs. Details, man.
Yeah.
Details in huge moments.
I mean, that was a huge win, and that crowd got into it. That was a cool atmosphere. I mean, because it felt like, okay, South Carolina, hey, what a start. They're going to win the game. And then as A&M came racing back on them, you go into halftime thinking A&M may if they come out the second half the way they did the week before, they may run away with this thing. No, not so fast. South Carolina is I mean, they're a good all-around football team. Both sides of the ball, physical in the line of scrimmage. They got enough playmakers on offense. They're fun to watch.
If you wanted to tell me, I don't think I would think you're crazy if you say, hey, they win the rest of their games, they go 9-3, and they somehow like get in the playoff. I wouldn't be it. A lot has to happen for them to sneak in, but I wouldn't be shocked. Team's
Well,
playing some pretty good ball.
what's crazy is, you know, they had LSU just beat.
If
They had,
Lenore Sellers doesn't get hurt in that game, they beat LSU.
and if they like, there were some bad calls against them in that game. All right, so just some weird stuff that went down. Crazy 36-33 loss at home to LSU. And then, I mean, Bama, lucky to have beat them. Lucky to have beat South Carolina. That was a week before we played them. Yeah, they, at their peak, they can beat anyone in this conference without a doubt.
I think at their peak, they can play with anyone in the country
Yeah.
because they
It's,
got dudes in the right spots.
mm-hmm.
And I think, how about Rocket Sanders looked?
Look
He
good.
looked like one of the best running backs in the country in this game.
Yep. 20 for 144, 2 touchdowns.
Looked fast. Already know the physicality he runs with, but I mean, McElroy was pointed out. He's like, we haven't seen him look like this since he was at Arkansas.
Yeah. I mean, on the year now, he's got to be. Yeah, I mean, he's piling it up. I guess he's not as much as I thought. I mean, that's his first 100-yard game since the LSU game. He's only has 2 of them, that one and the LSU game. but he's right around 5 yards a carry number.
I think both both programs and both fan bases come out of this game going feel pretty good about the quarterback situation moving forward. Marcel Reed, yeah, he had the interception in the fourth, not good. But I thought he did a nice job of like navigating the pressure that Dylan Stewart and Kyle Kennard were putting on him, avoiding things, making some plays. Clearly can do some serious damage with his legs. And then Lenore Sellers, he may be one of the more underrated quarterbacks in the country. I mean, Shane Beamer said it after the game. He wouldn't trade him for anyone, and I believe Shane when he says that.
Yeah.
I think that young man's future's very bright for South Carolina. So still a lot to play for A&M, but there's no margin of error now for the Aggies.
Yeah, that's right. And in the SEC standings are interesting, man. I mean, it's still at this point we are what 8 games into the season, and it's hard to know who we're going to see in the SEC championship game. I mean, Georgia, A&M, Tennessee, Texas, LSU, all still sitting there with one loss in conference. Still completely wide open. Vanderbilt's still sitting there with just 2 losses. I mean, it's thing is wide open right now.
Bring on the chaos. Let's go. Love it. We don't have to spend a ton of time on this next game. Ole Miss went to Fayetteville and dismantled Arkansas.
Yep.
63-31, and it wasn't that close.
Mm-mm.
And there's a formula to going and winning on the road in conference play. Right? Take care of the football, win the turnover battle. Right? Run the football. Control time of possession, or you just could have an absurd number of explosive plays in the passing game. I mean, big play after big play after big play in the throw game for Ole Miss. It was impressive. And Jackson Dart, when the big throws were there to be made, he made them all.
Yeah.
What, 515 and 6 touchdowns?
It's crazy. You know, you in the first quarter, Ole Miss is up 7-3, and you got a tight ball game there.
Scored on defense.
Yeah.
Strip Taylor Green in the end zone. Defensive touchdown. I know you love those.
Oh yeah. And then you the second half or the second quarter, you start ripping off those 2-play 68-yard drives for touchdowns. I mean, that goes a long way. 1 play, 62 yards, touchdown. And once you get up by that much, and like the whole way the game is played totally changes, and Arkansas has to become a passing team in the second half, and it's not really where they want to be.
And I know if you're an Arkansas fan, you could go, hey, no Jaquindon Jackson. Taylor Green got banged up again, right? Got rolled up in the first quarter, came back in, had to leave the game again. They had to roll with the backup Singleton. He's just he's not gonna be the guy that orchestrates a massive comeback. He's just not that guy. But Taylor Green and no Jaquindon Jackson, that hadn't have anything to do with Jordan Watkins going 8 for 254 and 5 touchdowns.
Crazy.
What a performance from Watkins. Just running by dudes.
Crazy numbers.
31.8 yards per catch. That'll do. Also, Caden Lee, couple of massive plays. DeQuan Wright, feed the tight end. He's always open. That's a big athletic dude. 9 for 99. Couple touchdowns for him. I mean, it was explosive after explosive after explosive in the throw game for Ole Miss. In Arkansas, whose entire defense is designed to prevent explosive plays in the passing game. They were helpless, man. They
Crazy.
got carved up. That was, I mean, that was a absolute beatdown in Fayetteville.
Yep. That was wild. I didn't see that one coming.
No one did. Anyone that said Ole Miss was going to go do that to Arkansas, there's no way.
Yeah,
But that's college football.
that's college football. Everything is you're dead positive on what's going to happen until it doesn't, and that seems like exactly what you get week in, week out. I mean, that was just. I mean, I obviously could see Ole Miss winning that football game, but in the fashion that they did, no, didn't think that's what was going to unfold. Impressive.
One last thing on this game. There was a play, 1 minute to go in the third quarter. Just a play I know you would love. Ole Miss is up 56-24, and this play made its rounds on Twitter. Jackson Dart drops back. It's 1st and 10. Landon Jackson, who is a very good edge player for Arkansas, going to be an early round pick. Push pull, inside move, goes and sacks Jackson Dart. And what does he do, Ted? Remember, scores 56-24.
Did he step over a player?
He does nothing. No celebration. He walks straight back to the line of scrimmage, doesn't say a word to anyone, goes and gets lined up and gets ready to play the next snap
Oh,
because he's down by 32 points and he has a brain. You see guys all across the country, they're down by 30. You saw it in this game. Singleton, the backup quarterback for Arkansas, runs and scores this touchdown. They're down by like 5 touchdowns. And he goes and looks at the crowd and he's like, "What's up?" And I'm just like, you gotta have some awareness, guys. You gotta have an understanding. And I'm not saying don't have fun, but you gotta have a level of awareness when you're just getting your ass whooped. Shout out to Landon Jackson, who is an awesome football player. Nice move, great sack, zero emotion, no celebration whatsoever. Just goes back to the line of scrimmage. Goes on about his day.
it's it's such a weird. It almost feels like the WWE or something. It's like anytime you make a tackle or a first down run or whatever, it's like we're such a small video clip world now that that play, the play is part of it, and then the second part of it is you get up and you do the first down point. You know what I'm saying? It's like everything has to have like some type of finishing move on it. It's the weirdest thing ever, but I
It
guess that's just
honestly
how it
makes me
goes.
upset that you didn't have a celebration when you were playing, like a signature celebration, like a block L for Lehman,
The
something
block
cool.
L. My signature celebration was to be disappointed about myself with something on that play and just walk back to the line of scrimmage and get the signal for the next play.
Good job, Lady Jackson. Just understanding the moment.